still in a state of shock. I'm bewildered. I'm flabbergasted. The flagnards have exclamation points and question marks all over the place. Oda, following up on what he had on the last cliffhanger? We've got to be in the final saga. Boy, oh boy, are we! Are we in the final saga, man? What? Bro, the final saga continues to surprise me at every turn in so many different ways. Bro, coming off of 1082, I was like, there's no way we're finishing the Sabo stuff. There's no way. I was like, we're going to leave that to post Egghead. There's just no way. The fact that he's giving us this flashback tells me that whatever we're going to get here within the Reverie flashback is going to be key for what we're going to see within the next couple of installments of Egghead Island, but also within post-Egghead as well, because Oda felt the need to fit this within the narrative before the climax of Egghead Island. So it's like, bro, what in the world does this man have in store? It's insane. This week's chapter, once again, another incredible chapter filled with awesome character interactions of characters, of course, that we already know and love, but just seeing them in this way within this chapter, interacting, finally following up on all the stuff that we've been hearing about, right? We've heard bits and pieces of it from chapter like 925 and 956. And then we cut over to, of course, whenever we finished the arc and we heard about what happened, right? And when we finished Wano and chapters 1058 and 1059, and we're trying to put the pieces together and what really happened in the Reverie. So it's like now we sit here. Chapter 1083 goes through, and a bit of the chapter is dedicated to the Revolutionary Army, of course, talking about certain plans, certain things that they're planning on doing in regards to cutting off the resources for the Marijoa and the Holy Land and stuff, and then the God's Knights, which is an entirely different can of worms, right, with the Holy Knights. It's like, man, what does Oda have cooking there, specifically with silhouettes that are either meant to misdirect us or guide us, right? You never really know, but because it's Oda, I believe it's probably to misdirect us, but it's just really, really cool. Whether they are characters we already know, of course, last night or whenever we did the reaction, we talked about the possibilities of it potentially being Shanks or someone related to the Figureland family, maybe his pops or something along those lines, right? Or a completely brand new characters. Recon brought up a really cool idea of all of them being marked by flames, which would be really interesting considering that one of them could be the individuals that has the Final Road Poneglyph, maybe after they've defected, right? And I think that's a really, really cool idea. And also shout out to Par Vision for continuing to hype up the Holy Knights as he should. So crazy stuff happened here. Awesome character interactions. Just seeing, Morley and Lindbergh and Karasu going in against the Admirals. Finally getting to see CP9 again was super cool. Lucci and Vivi, sassy Vivi is always the best. Seeing Shirahoshi within the chapter, continuing to see what is really about to take place with Cobra and Chaka and Pel as he's about to enter the throne room with the Gorosei. And it's like, bro, what are we gonna hear? Obviously, we know what Cobra wants to say. We've been having hints towards it. Obviously, when it comes to the Nefertari family, why were they kicked out? He wants to get answers in regards to his ancestors. He wants to get answers in regards to the Void Sentry. And then something that he states within that question and answer process got him killed. And Sabo makes it there too late. So it's like, what happens? What are we going to see? Is it finally time for us to see Instant Messenger Sama here in the next chapter, the chapter after that? My goodness, man. To finally figure out the identity of this character that we've been wanting to see since chapter 908. Or honestly, since 906. With who in the world is this character in front of the giant straw hat, right? So it's like 906, extremely spooky. 908, it gets even spookier. Then we see what Imu did in regards to chapter 1060. So it's like, you know how dangerous this individual is. And if we finally figure out who the character is, what they are, whether they're human, right? We still don't know. There's so many questions in regards to Messenger Sama. We don't even know where to begin. We don't even know where to begin. And so I'm shook. I don't know what to say. But that's why I have y'all coming here with the comment section this week with some awesome bits and pieces of insight here. As of the recording of this video, it's only been a few hours since I put up this post because I need to record this video today. Since this weekend I'm not going to be home much, I was like, no, but I need to talk about this chapter. I'm not leaving this Afterthoughts for a next week thing, especially since starting on Sunday, I'm avoiding everything. Your boy is not going to get spoiled on Instant Messenger Sama. All right, if next chapter we see Instant Messenger Sama, I'm not going to spoil. Not on that. And so, because of that, I'm going to take all the necessary precautions. We're recording this early, and I'm going to ensure that we go up in like swimwear for this chapter. So let's get right into it. Start off with some questions here. Nasty Ninja comes in. Nasty Ninja 808. And speaking of old characters returning and whatnot, he says, I can't believe we saw the rest of CP9. Looks like they're wearing white now, so CP0 now. I can't wait to see what happens next with them. And it's like, what else are we going to see with CP9? Was that just a really cool cameo that we got within the Reverie flashback? Or does Oda have more plans for them down the line? Because it's Oda, I'm going to assume we're going to see them in some way, shape, or form within the final saga. Maybe even after Egghead Island, right? Whenever Lucci... whatever happens with Lucci and his current internal conflict in regards to what's truly happening with the WG, right? We see that he's working together with the king, and is definitely doing stuff that he would not have been doing before the Lucia incident, and whenever he really started questioning what's actually going on here. So I wonder if Oda has greater plans for Lucci potentially meeting back up with his CP9 brethren. Like you said, they're in white now, so they potentially are members of CP0 as well. So them reuniting, potentially doing something there with the story down the line, that'd be very interesting. Considering the final saga is going to be filled with a lot of fan service and stuff, that cameo was most certainly for us longtime fans, and being like, man, it's good to see CP9 again. And so, and there's been a lot of references to Water 7 and his lobby throughout this entire arc, but that one was really cool. So you're absolutely right. I don't know what to expect in regards to CP9 for the rest of the series, but I think for the Reverie flashback, this will be it for them, unless there's going to be even crazier stuff they're going to do down the line, which would be really cool. It would be really cool. So we'll see what happens there, but I most certainly do expect to see them within the present timeline, maybe even after this arc, with a potential reunion with Robert D and Kaku and them, right? So I think that'd be really cool. Thank you, Nasty Ninja. Next comment comes from Juan Carlos, who says, I really hope the Admirals can finally go all out soon, maybe against Luffy. And we know that Oda has been keeping the Admirals in places where they are not able to go all out. And we know, due to Punk Hazard, what can happen when Admirals do go all out. They're capable of forever changing the landscape with their abilities, right? Forever changing a landscape and turning it into either ice and or magma, which is insane, right? Using your fruit abilities, potentially the awakening, to forever change the environment around you, which is extremely OP, extremely OP. So it's like, whenever we saw them in Marineford, whenever we saw them in the Marijoa, we've seen that these characters have been holding back so as to not destroy the environment around them, the place in which they're in. So it's like, when are we going to get to the point where they don't have to worry about all of that? And we got a good insight into that whenever Kizaru pulled up on Sabaody and he's bodied all the supernovas, not worrying about a flipping thing. It's like, yo, shout out to Kizaru, right? Going in like somewhere like that. But this particular arc is gonna probably give us our first look into what an Admiral's actual potential looks like. Because of course, we've been speculating on how nasty individuals like Kuzan and Akainu and Kizaru, right? Like how nasty they are. But I feel like this arc is going to give us a little bit of insight into that whenever we cut back to the Garp stuff and we see Kuzan fighting Garp once more, even though that is more of like a master-student thing. From a storytelling standpoint, I'm not sure if we're going to see Kuzan really go all out there, right? That is more of an emotional battle rather than a battle for hype, right? So we'll see what happens there. But in regards to Kizaru, I think it is time when Kizaru pulls up. I don't care who he fights, right? I know there's a couple multiple different scenarios where we either see Sanji Garcia Saturn boxing against the King, or we see Kizaru going up against Luffy, or going up against Sanji or Zoro or whoever is going to end up fighting this man. Whatever happens, now that Awakening has been brought into the picture, now that Awakening has been such a main central focus of the manga for about ever since the beginning of the year, or not the beginning of the year, the beginning of this saga, right? Heading into coming from the end of Wano with the focus on Awakening and hockey and stuff of that nature. It would be interesting to see that here once again, especially coming off of the chapter 1069 theory that Vegapunk presented in regards to the origin of fruits. So I think it'd be really interesting to see Kizaru awaken here, and we see what it's truly capable of, right? That once again, earlier on in the arc, we got to see those photonic gloves that can even punch and or touch light. So those will probably come into play in some way, shape, or form later on the line. But an Admiral going all out, it seems like Egghead could be the time they don't have to worry about not destroying the place. I mean, they're coming here specifically to take the man out, right? So it's like, okay, if Vegapunk is going to get eliminated anyway, why not just destroy the Punk records too? So Kizaru is going to be able to go up and like somewhere with no regard for human life. So we're going to be able to see a Kizaru unhinged, uncuffed, ready to go up and like swimwear. So that's what makes me want to see him go up against Luffy as a newly stated emperor, having just fought Kaido, now facing off against Kizaru, even though he will have already been in battle since he already went into Gear 5 against Lucci, now fighting against the Seraphims. It's like, okay, Luffy's not going to be going into it at an absolute 100%, but I don't care. I don't care. That's the king. And he's going to be able to go up and like somewhere. And so with that being said, I'm curious. I'm curious if now is going to be the time where we see Admiral versus Emperor, or are we going to have Gorosei versus Emperor and then Admiral versus the Wings of the King? Wait, so let me tell you something. I see the Wings of the King against Kizaru, bro. I think all of us collectively in the community would be screaming. But that would just be so. I don't care if it's one wing or both. I need to see that action too. And so I don't know if Sanji Garcia Saturn is going to be boxing. If he is, let's get it. I want that interaction more than anything else. The interaction between Luffy and Sanji Garcia Saturn, considering the Nika connections and Joy Boy connections and stuff like that. So to the Void Century, that's going to be very, very interesting. But in regards to hype battles, if Oda wants to keep the Gorosei out of that, cool. If he wants to have him in there, cool. But I want to see what's at play there with the Gorosei. And then we switch over to Kizaru and see, because of what's happening with the Gorosei, whether Sanji Garcia Saturn wishes to fight or whether he wishes to stay back. Regardless, we're going to see Kizaru box. He's there as a bodyguard for Garcia Saturn. So someone's fighting Kizaru. I don't know whether it's the king. I don't know whether it's, like I said, Zoro or Sanji or someone else on the island. But I want to see it. I want to see it. And like I said, because it's Egghead Island, he doesn't have to worry about holding back, which is going to be so much fun, man. So hopefully that'll be the case, Juan Carlos. Thank you for that. Praetorus comes in and says the closest parallel to the Holy Knights might be the 9 Nazgul from Lord of the Rings. They were the 9 kings of men who accepted the rings from the Dark Lord in the age before. That is very interesting. The potential significance of the Straw Hat to Im could also parallel the One Ring. This might be our last chance to guess about it all before next chapter. They must be saints since they mediate disputes among the Celestials, but what do you think their role was in the Void Century? That's a great question, Praetorus. Question number 2. Everyone thinks Shanks is related to them, or maybe a member to the Silhouette, but we're forgetting that Shanks is literally there meeting the Gorosei too. That's a great point. Do you think we'll see him and find out what his relationship is with the Celestials? If he was there when Cobra is killed or Sabo saw him, it could prompt Dragon to change plans and get active if he knows about his past with Luffy. So these are 2 great questions. Let's break them down. In regards to the first question, I love your connection here to J.R. Tolkien and The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And so with the Straw Hat to Im, paralleling the ring, last chance to guess about the Holy Knights, right? The God's Knights. If they are also saints too, if they are also celestials, I wonder why it is that the celestial dragons in the astronaut suits call them like distasteful, disgraceful individuals. You know, internal turmoil between members of the celestial dragons. I'm sure they must look at Mioscard in a similar light now that he's now he's done that to Saint Charlos. It was in this chapter 2, by the way. I can't believe that. But I wonder, man. You're absolutely right. I am definitely leaning more towards them being celestials as well. I just wonder why it is that they're called this. Maybe it is like we talked about in the stream, where because they've eaten fruit ability, then the celestial dragons look at them as like being contaminated potentially, right? That could be a likely scenario, and we most certainly believe that they're going to be nasty, especially since after I read the chapter and we had the discussion, someone presented the image of whenever Kaku and the CP9 agents got their abilities in the manga and had that very same fruit pattern in the background. So we're led to believe they're nasty when it comes to their abilities. And we know that whenever the WG was out recruiting, when the Marines were recruiting for the next Admirals, they were the ones that gave them their abilities. So it's like they must have a good stash of these things, man, you know? And so the Holy Knights, obviously being the bodyguards for Instant Messenger Sama and the Gorosei, they have to be really filthy. Like, they've got to be nasty, or at least their abilities have to be nasty. So, with that being said, their role in the Void Century, I'm going to assume the Holy Knights, if the Gorosei have always been the Gorosei, in regards to they've been alive for 800 years, then the Holy Knights are going to be the ones where those titles and their position as bodyguards has changed over the generations, right? Let's just say the first bodyguards were there back in the day when Im first created the WG with the Gorosei as we know them, or other members of the Gorosei. You know, we don't know if these are also titles that have been passed on for generations, or if these are the very same members of the Gorosei. Regardless, I believe these Holy Knights more than likely are going to be individuals who are a part of families that served Emu back in 800 years ago, and it's just changed. You know, the change of the guard has happened year in, year out, year in, year out. And if that's the case, excuse me, talking about your Shanks thing, it fascinates me because now if Shanks' father, let's just say hypothetical situation, Shanks' dad is in fact the head leader of the Holy Knights, this is going to present a completely new perspective on Shanks' character, the way that he views freedom and why he values being a pirate so much potentially. After finding all this information out, I'm going to assume Shanks did not know all of this whenever he was in Roger's crew. It was only after Roger died that he must have found out all about all this stuff, if that is the case. But if it is the case, we're going to be looking at least I'm going to be looking at Shanks through a completely different lens, because he chose the life of a pirate rather than becoming one of the Holy Knights. Now, this is, of course, me stating that he's not one of the Holy Knights, because there's the two possibilities, right? Either he took his own path, became a pirate, and took a similar path to Luffy, where Garp wanted him to become a Marine. He said, screw that, I would like to be a pirate. Maybe Shanks did the same thing, where he decided to follow Roger's dream rather than following his destiny, his fate of becoming potentially the leader of the Holy Knights. We have no idea, right? We don't know if that's what Shanks is doing, or if he genuinely, the reason why he was there with the Gorosei is because he was there to serve his role and his purpose as one of the Holy Knights. We don't know. But I do think it's very interesting that if one of these characters, let's just say, like I said, the families, let's just say the Figureland family is one of the individuals that is within the Holy Knights, and a member from that family has always served for 800 years. They have served and served and served and served Instant Messenger Sama. And Shanks was the first one to say no to that. I think that would provide the coolest, another really, really cool part of his character that I would love to explore, right? Considering that one of the biggest things about this series is defying what was predetermined, what you believed was predetermined for you, for something that you actually want to achieve, or accepting the destiny that has been presented before you and fulfilling your role and your purpose, right? Like, that is one of the major things about this series. And so, regardless, for me, I think it's interesting whether Shanks is actually one of the Holy Knights. And once again, this is hypothetically speaking, right? Whether he's one of the Holy Knights, and he was there, going into your second question, that he was there meeting with the Gorosei. After meeting with the Gorosei, he goes in and becomes one of the, or not becomes, if they already are, then they are, right? Where Lucky Roo and Beckman are in the place next door, and they genuinely are the Holy Knights. Like, Shanks' crew are the Holy Knights, right? And they're out here fulfilling their role, fulfilling their purpose up here in the Marijoa. Or, if that's not the case, then him going up there, the amount of clout the Figureland family has for him, and just Shanks as a character, to go up there, state whatever it is that he had to say about that certain pirate, and then just go about his business, knowing that he has detracted, or at the very least defied, the role that was presented for him. I love that. That is so pirate. That is so, like, the themes of One Piece. And I think it's just awesome. So, if that is going to be the case for Shanks, then allow it to be one of those two scenarios, where we see someone who, throughout all of this stuff, has either accepted his destiny or is defying it. Because either way, I'm going to find it to be an even more compelling character than I already do. But that's just off the hypothetical situation that silhouette actually is Shanks. So, the second part of your question here, do you think we'll see and find out what's really is the Celestials? I think that'd be really cool if Cobra walks in and he sees Shanks talking to the Gorosei still. Maybe he catches the last part of the conversation. Oh my god, that'd be so good. And we finally get to figure out the pirate that he was talking about. Man. But at the same time, I think in chapter 908, no. This is after, because in 907, Shanks met up with him. In 908, which takes place after, they go and they're ready to meet with him. And then, so they go in, they were talking, oh, Cobra wants to meet with us. And then they go into Im's room. So my assumption is that what's about to happen with Cobra is they go into Issemester Sama's room. When they leave Issemester Sama's room and go back to the room of the 5 elders, or they go to the flipping throne room, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm going to assume maybe this takes place within the throne room. And if it takes place within the throne room, then good lord, man. So the Shanks, them catching the last part of the conversation probably won't happen. So, regardless, we'll leave that for them. But do you think we'll see him and find out what his relationship is with Celestials if he was there when Cobra's killer Sabo saw him? And that is a great question. That is a great question. And I wonder if Sabo and Shanks would have a conversation there, right? Man, dude, we could find out so much to this flashback. That's a great point. Was he present there when Cobra was killed? Did he have a conversation with Sabo that potentially made him late for what happened with Cobra? It could prompt Dragon to change his plans and get active enough to Luffy, and that's a factual statement. So a lot of stuff is cooking right now in the kitchen in regards to potential awesome scenarios. Even more incredible scenarios than we were already anticipating in regards to this Reverie flashback. So it's man, Dragon versus Shanks. If that is the silhouette, right? I don't care. Whether the Shanks is a member of the Holy Knights or his family comes from the Holy Knights, or these characters are just brand new, I'm all for it. I think the idea is really interesting, and it's going to present some a brand new aspect to the story here that we're going to learn within the coming chapters. And so, hopefully, I would love, if Shanks is still there, I would love for a conversation between him and Sabo before all that stuff pops off. What would he even tell him? How spooky would that conversation be? Man, dude, I'm excited. Thank you so much, Praetorus. Next one comes in from Scale, who says, the first thing I thought of when it came to God's Knights and inspired them with Royal Knights from the Digimon franchise. The reason as to why they are being introduced now might be similar to the point that in their presence, it is impossible to violate security in their presence. Such is the prestige, fame, and status the RKs have. They would be the perfect inspiration for several reasons. First off, the GK's relationship with Emu. If they serve him directly, they'll be serving. It would be similar to the arcades with Yggdrasil, the main computer and god of the digital world. Secondly, much like the protectors of the network, they could have internal strife and conflict, leading to infighting. Thirdly, they do have the Holy Knight type. And fourth, this might just be my bias, but they would be the perfect group for Oda to draw from and forth their abilities and powers, so at least half of them are hacks and broken, with none of them being shabby. See, whenever we go into that, I'm most certainly am all down for that. Although they would have to be scaled down, given Digimon's the most powerful forces in fiction, especially at this level. I mean, for sure. But we know that Oda, the great thing about One Piece is his inspirations are always Oda-fied, right? As the role Knights are considered by many as the strongest group in the franchise, or at least one up there. Also, since Dynasmon, Examon, and Slightmon, Kintarosmon are based on mythical and legendary animals, can receive 3 mythical Zoans. I can most certainly, I mean, I didn't make the connection there with any of the legendary Digimons, but in regards to them having mythical Zoans, yes, because I think it would be really interesting to see these characters that we know they fear. We know they have a genuine fear of some of the mythical Zoans that live out within the verse. Kaido has stopped them from doing what they want to do with Guano for quite some time. They obviously fear the king, right? So it's like these, we know mythical Zoans and their connection to the Void Century is going to have a major role to play down the line. So I think it'd be really interesting for them to have an ability for mythical Zoan abilities given to the Holy Knights. I think really cool. A wyvern, dragon-like being with wings for arms, that'd be really cool. A western dragon, and a Sleipnir, the 8-legged horse, the personal seat of Odin. I think all of those are really cool ideas, honestly. Especially considering that we're about to head into Elbaf. I think this would be Oda's opportunity to practice, right, what he's going to be drawing over there, considering that we expect him to go into heavy mythological stuff, heading in the same way that he went into a lot of Japanese stuff for Wano. We were expecting a lot of mythology heading into Elbaf, and so I wonder if this is going to be his opportunity to really have fun with that and exercise certain abilities and in Hollywood look like. I mean, we don't even have to see them necessarily as soon, right, within the flashback, but at the very least have an indication that one of them could have a mythical ability, which would lead us to believe that maybe most of them do. So the silhouette looks like Shanks. I do not believe it is him, but likely a relative of his. However, if it is Shanks, I can see Ichiro Oda drawing from Duffmon, aka Leopardmon. Oda did say in SBS that Red Hair's animal was a lion, and while maybe not exactly that, a leopard is still a type of panther, hence the same group as lions. Also, he has four-legged form. He has a four-legged form, which may indicate Shanks' more feral side, and he is the tactician and strategist of the group, which would indicate as to why Red Hair is mostly in the background, potentially doing shady stuff, or with the captain holding back and letting the crew doing most of the heavy lifting and fighting. Not only that, his fighting style could be a perfect match as well, with not just energy / potential energy waves and blasts, since Oda loves Dragon Ball-esque attacks. I'm down for that. There is also the chance that the Knights are just red-haired pirates playing as the Yonko crew, and that is most certainly a possibility that we were just talking about here a few seconds ago. Being a mole among the emperors to keep the remnants of rocks under control. And that is most certainly a possibility. I'm not going to rule that out. Especially after what we saw in... So that means that they were like kind of the original Shichibukai, if that is the case, where these individuals were set out there specifically to keep everything under control and in balance. So if that is true, man, that's going to be wild. That's going to be wild. It's going to change our entire perspective on what happened in Chapter 107 and what happened in Marineford, so many different things. If that is true, it's going to make it I can't even imagine how crazy that panel would be coming off of that, playing on both sides. Freest of pirates, also the flipping bodyguards of the Holy Land. That is crazy to me. So I'm curious. I'm very, very curious. But I'm more in line with what you were saying earlier in regards to not believing it is him, but potentially having a connection to him and or his family. Finding out more about the Figureland family, especially since I'm going to assume we get the God Valley flashback and we see where they got Shanks from there, and the connections to the Celestial Dragons and whatnot. And of course that being more than likely the major reason why Roger was even protecting the Celestial Dragons in the first place. It's like, man, so much stuff is being cooked there. But yeah, I'm more in line with that. I mean. Either way, the more Red Hair Pirate stuff we see, the better. But the either idea fascinates me, because either way, like I said, it's either someone accepting their destiny and living it out, right? And understanding their role and their purpose, and even though they may not necessarily agree with it, they understand they have to do it, or completely defying that and going in a different direction. I love either scenario, and I think both of them could be executed very well. So if it really is connected to a Shanks thing, I think it'd be awesome, so awesome, just so cool. But if it's not, we're talking about brand new characters here. I love your mythical Zoan idea, considering that they're more than likely going to be individuals that have been given the most pristine fruits, right? I mean, these are the individuals who are protecting Im, who are protecting the Godosei. Like, they've got to be packing. You know what I mean? Thank you, Scale. Subra comes in. Shout out to Subra, who unfortunately, due to exams, was unable to attend the live, but fortunately for exams, I hope you passed them, dog. By the time this goes up on Sunday, I believe you said that your exam should be done. Really hoping nothing but the best for you, Subra. Hillary Condescend wanted to miss the Afterthoughts too. My exams are going on. Nah, trust me, dude. I completely get it. Thank you so much for leaving this comment. So I couldn't make the stream and saw the Afterthoughts, so I swiftly finished the chapter read and came to share some thoughts. And maybe random stuff, as I didn't get many ideas clearly yet. Thanks early if you read it. First of all, I love how Oda built the suspense again. I guess we're out of Egghead for longer now. It's crazy, Subra. I miss Luffy. I also miss the King, man. I do. Now, this aside, the first thing is the Holy Knights. One of them looks like Shanks. I saw many theories regarding that, and I don't believe that is Shanks. As Oda in his silhouettes, man. You know how it is. However, if it is Shanks, that means he might be our final fight, which... bro, there's just so... Oda has presented so many really cool possibilities for the final fight, right? With Shanks, with Blackbeard, with Instant Messenger Sama, with Akainu. It's like there's really, and they all are plausible, right? My thought is they might be someone related to the Gorosei. A thought that's going on right now, are they the people who destroyed the Lucia, God Valley, and the Ancient Kingdom? So you think these might be the individuals who directly destroyed the Lucia, God Valley, and the Ancient Kingdom? Are the Holy Knights. So you think they might be on that big UFO thing that we saw? Like doing like manual buster calls? Interesting. The second thing I love is how Vivi responded to Lucci. Me too, bro. I think that was one of my favorite parts of the chapter for sure. This is the last time we see Cobra alive, which is very sad. Now, one thing I love about this chapter is Sabo said we destroy the Social Dragon symbol, which is so beautifully parallels Luffy at Annie's lobby. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, another parallel at Annie's lobby. You're right. These moments are so beautiful, and we also have CP9 in this chapter. Oda really is in a massive Hall of Fame stretch. Truly. To end a question for you. What do you think the next chapter will show, and how strong the Holy Knights are? Do you think they are stronger than the Admirals, as Dragon said? They announce war when the Holy Knights move. Okay, so let me answer that question. Next chapter, I fully expect us to stay with the Reverie stuff. So I strongly believe 1084 could potentially give us three major things. Major things. Number one, we're going to see Sabo's path to the throne room, which means he's going to see the stuff that he's directly fighting against. Continuing to see what's happening with Kuma, continuing to see what's going down in the Holy Land itself. His path to it, whether he comes across other characters or not, like we talked about earlier, like coming across Shanks, who is currently hidden, right, trying to keep himself on the down low, or meeting up with other characters, right, like Sabo's path getting to the throne room, him potentially going around and listening in, and or going in a place where he's not supposed to be, right, Stelly style. So it'd be very interesting, or even like seeing Stelly. Or actually, no. Stelly said, oh, Sabo was up there too, like he didn't see him. So that's not going to happen. But just Sabo going around his journey to getting to the throne room, I think it would be a very interesting thing to explore. That is one scenario. Number two, we just go directly where the chapter finished, and we get Cobra entering the either the throne room or what is it? Hold on, let me go back to the end of the chapter. Did he say the throne room, or did he just say the room of the elders? Hold on, let me pull up the chapter real quick, because that is very key. Man, next chapter is going to be crazy. So, at the end of the chapter, we see... I'm afraid only King Cobra has been permitted with an audience with the 5 elders. So this looks like it's just going to be their room. This won't take long, and it'd be tedious for you to wait outside. It'd be much better use of your time to look out for Vivi. She's always been a mischievous one. You can't let her out of your sight for a second. So we're going to potentially see, through Chaka and Pell, what happened with Vivi that led to her escaping with Wapol. That is going to be a really, really cool thing to see. More than likely, this is going to be a 3-chapter flashback where this next chapter is going to show us more stuff building into that, Cobra posing the questions of that nature, and then 1085. Whatever the break chapter is, that for me is going to be the M reveal. So within the next chapter, we could potentially see, like I said, with the BB stuff and what was happening there, more stuff in regards to the Revolutionary Armies fighting the Admirals, but also maybe getting our first insight into what these Holy Knights are in regards to maybe one of them themselves show up, or we get to see what they look like, what one of their abilities are, whatever it is, and then of course continuing the Cobra and Five Elders conversation, which all of those scenarios are equally fascinating to me. But the ones that we know for sure are going to have payoff are the Vivi plot, seeing what's going down, or how Shirahoshi moves down from there down to the bottom as well, and of course the stuff with Cobra. So those are going to be plot points for sure that we're going to continue within the next chapter, heading into whenever this flashback ends. So next chapter is either going to continue the flashback, end the flashback, or, and this is the best scenario possible, Oda writes another chapter like this, continues to build anticipation for the M-Sama reveal. The following chapter, we get a lot of insanity, crazy stuff, and then chapter 1085 is just straight reveals. Holy Knights, Emu, what did Sabo see? How did Cobra die? It's just all these things. Then maybe our biggest hint towards the voice century yet, with what this dude Cobra is gonna say to them. This is so exciting, man. So exciting. And so I think that is the trajectory we're on, where 1084/1085 is gonna be really special. 1084, now that I think about it, there's a lot of stuff here. Oda could pull it off because he's a master of doing stuff in a short amount of time. But from a pacing standpoint, I think it's really interesting if we continue building up and seeing certain stuff playing out on all 3 of those separate plot lines that are happening here within or actually 4 technically, that are happening right here within the Reverie. And then we see major payoff, like maybe over there on the Admirals side of the Revolutionary Army, we see one of the Holy Knights, right? And the Revolutionary Army is forced to back off. Or in the Shirahoshi side, we see what happens there. In Vivi, we see Wapol and how she got down. And then finally, we switch over to King Cobra, and we see Sabo looking up at Instant Messenger Sama. We get to see who Instant Messenger Sama is, looking at someone who is sitting on the empty throne that's supposed to be empty. And it's like, craziness, right? Craziness. So I'm looking forward to seeing how all of that plays out and how they caught this man in 4K in front of Cobra. It's like so many different things. But that is what I would love to see within the next few chapters, specifically 1084 and 1085. Another question, just my curiosity, 1042, 1046, 1057, 1061, 1079, 1082, rank them? Oh, Lord. It's just I want to know, no theories or anything, your personal favorite. Thanks, but I'll watch the stream after Saturday after the exam ends. No, I appreciate you, man. I really do. The 1042, 1046 stretch is so special, man. It truly is my favorite. I love that stretch there, if I remember. Man, that's tough. I would have to follow it up with the 1079, 1082 stretch. I really love that 1057, 1061 stretch, and my answer might change over time, because that stretch was incredible. 1060 is one of my favorite chapters in the whole series. 1061, the of getting our first insight into what's happening there with Vegapunk. 1059 with the Blackbeard stuff. 1058 with the incredible cross-guild stuff. 1057 the end of Wano. So that's a really special stretch, man. But I think I would go 1042, 1046. Then 1079, 1080 to 1082, because bro, divine departure. Garp going in there like swimwear. Kuzan, Blackbeard, greatness. And then Buggy with one of the greatest character moments in the final saga so far. Oh, yeah, man. That 1079, 1082 stretch is special, bro. It is. But all 3 of these stretches are special. But if I had to rank them, I think that's how I would go. 1042, 1046, then 1079, 1082, and then 1057, 1061. but they're all really close. It's just my love for Gear 5 keeps that stretch up there. This is the Drums Liberation stretch, man. You know what I mean? It's untouched. It's untouched, at least for now, until we get to the end of the series. Probably it's just gonna remain untouched, but really special stuff. But that 1079-1082 stretch is crazy. It is crazy. So just like the 1057-1061 stretch. But I appreciate you, Superman. Thank you. We got 2 more questions here. Next one comes in from Jesus Vermillion, the Mereo Leona Simp. And before I read this, I just want to say my condolences and my thoughts and prayers to you and your family. Whenever I was saving the questions, I saw that you said that your great grandma passed away. Man, I'm so sorry to hear that, brother. Seriously, man, nothing but love to you and your family, to you and your loved ones, and just God, can't even imagine the pain that must be going through your heart right now, man. So, once again, my biggest condolences and nothing but love to you and your family, man. And in these very, very hard times. But Coach, I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being there yesterday. Recently, my great grandma passed away, so it was really nice of you to be in your usual positive and energetic self, making me take my mind off of everything and have a good time. I'm glad we were able to do that for you, brother. I didn't say much during the stream, but I just want to let you know that I'm doing a bit better. That's good to hear, man. That's good to hear. But you know how tough life can be sometimes. Absolutely, bro. It's not fair. It's not fair, you know. I'm sure. I'll try to stay as strong as possible. I will try to stay as strong as possible, and having your videos and open chapters definitely helps. So thank you again for everything, man. Some very, very kind words, bro. I appreciate you. Stay strong, brother. And I'm glad that the videos at the very least are helping you to take your mind off it, if not just a little bit, you know. That's something that we always strive to attempt to do here, you know, to take at least those 30 minutes, those hours where we're talking about the greatness, for all of us to just forget everything that's happening on the outside and focus on the stuff that we're doing, right? The stuff we're reading, that we're experiencing, that we're talking about. So that means a lot, man. Regarding the chapter, I'm just waiting to see what's on the other side of those doors. Can't wait to find out the truth. Can't even imagine what's in store for us, Jesus Vermillion. I cannot even imagine what we're about to see in regards to potential Void Century truths. Finally seeing what made them want to kill Cobra. What did Sabo see? It's like, man, this is endgame information. Oh, everyone has a wonderful day, and thanks to all of you for being a great community. Jesus, man, thank you so much for not only sharing this with us, but for the incredible kind words, man. I truly, truly appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful day / week, man. And once again, nothing but love to all of your family members, man. And just try to stay strong, brother, as hard as it is. But I truly appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you, man. Just life. Life can be a flag at times, bro. Gold Slash comes in and says, yo, coach, it's happening. The revs are in motion. Can't believe it. I still can't believe it. Got 2 chapters in a row of the revs. Shout out to Kadosu. That boy must be from Suzuran, repping the crows and he got hands. Great reference. Other bird talk. Do you think it was Pell that got Vivi to big news Morgans? Oh, that's an interesting theory. Pell potentially getting Vivi and Wapolo over there. Birds of a feather flock together. It's great wording. Birds of a feather flock together. That's factual. I know a lot of us thought the Gorosei had the all-purple fruit used in them, but what if it was used in the God's Knights instead, making them forever able to carry out their duties? So you think they potentially been around for 800 years? That is interesting. So they're the ones who have actually taken the immortality surgery that have been around for a very, very long time. Is this a secret weapon that Dofi knew about? Potentially. That's why he wanted the Obi fruit. That's actually a great point, because if the immortality surgery was used on the God's Knights, and instead of the Gorosei, they're actually the ones that have been around for 800 years, it would make sense why they're potentially as disgraceful and maybe not as tolerant to the Celestial Dragons and everybody else. They've been dealing with their garbage for 800 years. Anybody would get tired of them after 8 years, after 8 seconds, let alone 800 years, man? Lastly, the Revs banner when the last chapter looked like a dragon for dragon. His fruit of it was a combination of Dragon, Kuma, and Ivankov, and the founders of the Revs. That's super cool. Last chapter looks like a dragon for dragon. His fruit of it was a combination of Dragon, Kuma, and Ivankov, and the founders of the Revs. For the banner, that's actually really interesting. Absolutely. For all of them. So Man, I'd have to look back at that at the end of last chapter. Dragon for Dragon is fruit combination of Dragon, Kuma, and Ivanka, and the founders of the Revs. Like basically like the cornerstones of the Revolutionary Army. It's like, man, with what's currently happening with Kuma, him going back to the Mighty Joy, it's like, yo, there's so much at play right now. There's so much at play right now. But your comment on the Opi Opi no Mi really has my mind moving. That is so interesting. The Gods Knights actually being the ones who received the immortality surgery, and Dofi, knowing these individuals that exist, are like, yo, I want that. That is the ultimate power. That's interesting. Endgame potential antagonists there, right? Regardless of who they are. With that type of hype, with Dragon being like, yo, we're not moving until they move. Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, these has been the 1083 Afterthoughts. We are ready for what is bound to be a crazy chapter 1084, and maybe even a crazier 1085, 1086, and 1087. But for right now, taking one chapter at a time. Next chapter, continuing, hopefully, this Reverie flashback so that we can see what is behind those doors, as Jesus said. Finally getting closer and closer to the truth. A lot of different ideas, a lot of different theories are currently floating around. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been it for the Afterthoughts. I can't wait to see a continuation to all of the plot lines that are currently converging here within the Reverie flashback. And man, finally getting these answers is just the coolest thing ever. You know, it's been insane, bro. The final saga has been so special. And this is just going to be another feather in that cap, man. No pun intended to Will-Go/Set in regards to the birds. So I will see y'all next time. Have an awesome day. Thank you so much for watching. And once again, my deepest condolences to you, my Jesus, my brother, man. Nothing but the best to you and your loved ones. And I hope everybody watching this video has an awesome, awesome day, yo. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out, and I will see y'all when the next chapter drops, because more than likely, once this has come out, I'm going to be gone from social media, avoiding the next chapter spoilers. So I will see y'all. Take care. Reverie time, man. Dude, we're about to see Instant Messenger Slam, bro.